The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whoa! Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the globe, in the chat room, wherever you are around the world. This is Late Night in the Midlands, and I am Michael Vera. Tonight, we'll be talking with Dr. Richard Ruhling. He's been on Late Night in the Midlands a few times in the past. He's coming back tonight. We'll be discussing things like, reversing damage to your heart, reversing damage to your arteries, natural health. We'll also be talking biblical prophecy, which according to my guest tonight, he believes that we are in those end-time prophecies. Now, we all know how I feel about it, but, I'm always open. Because who knows? Maybe we are. So Dr. Richard Ruhling tonight, we'll get into a few different topics. Them are a couple of them. He says heart disease is reversible. So he actually sent me a CD, which I've been working on it, folks. So we'll see. We'll see if we could reverse well, what they call heart. See, I don't know. They say heart disease, but I don't know. One clogged artery, is that heart disease? It's a sign that you're not living well, maybe. I don't know if it's heart disease, but they call everything a disease. I mean, being an alcoholic's a disease. If you're addicted to drugs, it's a disease. If you ask some, if you're gay, it's a disease. Hey, I didn't say that. I don't feel that way. But there's some out there who will say it's the devil's work. But anyways, Dr. Richard Ruhling tonight. And we will take calls 803-317-2264.
LNM Radio has joined with the hard...
Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right. So, anyways, that's what I get for trying to clear the board while I'm talking here. This is why I'm not multitask, man, because see what happens? But, yeah, we'll take calls a little later in the show. And, by the way, the website's www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Go on over, become a member, and be informed. And by all means, inform others. All right. How about a little news and discoveries here? Let's get to it. Food crops grown in underwater biospheres. How you like that? See, they're growing food under the water. So, I know, it could just be little innocent experiments, but you gotta wonder, why are they so interested in all this? A new way of growing food underwater is being tested out beneath the Bay of Noli in Savannah, Italy. And it's designed to enable crops to be grown in regions where traditional farming methods are impractical. They seem to have a great interest in growing food where you normally wouldn't grow food. I don't know, maybe they know something we don't, folks. I don't know. The plants are grown inside special self-contained biospheres, which are anchored to the seafloor approximately 30 feet underwater. Despite the unusual location, they say the crops still receive a significant amount of sunlight from the surface, and the temperature is maintained at a respectable 25 degrees Celsius. So, interesting little project they got going there. If you want to read more about it, you can go over to latenightinthemidlands.com to news and discoveries, and you'll find it there. New computer operates like the human brain. Yep, new computer operates like the human brain. They've been working on this for quite some time. They've been wanting to duplicate the human brain, make it flawless. A new brain-like computer called MEM Computer could help solve the world's most enduring math problems. Yeah, that's what they want to do. They want to solve the world's most enduring math problems. That's why they want a computer brain. Whew, we can all rest easy. That's the only reason they would ever want something like this. Developed by scientists, maybe the same ones who lie to us about the climate, led by a theoretical physicist from the University of California, a Dr. Ventra. In San Diego, they say the new computer shuns conventional microchip designs in favor of special MEM processors, which both process and store data. So it'll work the same way as neurons do in the brain. So they're duplicating the human brain. You could read a whole lot more about that if you like. It's linked up, you know where. Hey, how about this? You've heard of the swine flu and the bird flus and all these flus, right? Well, get ready, because now comes the new squirrel virus. Yes, a squirrel virus strain suspected in the deaths of 3 in Germany. 3 people, they say, in Germany who worked as squirrel breeders and who all died from brain inflammation may have contracted a new strain of virus from the squirrels, according to a new report of the cases. So something else you might want to look into if you're interested. They say the new virus strain belongs to a group of viruses called bornaviruses. Boy, they must have stood up all night thinking of the name for this. Look, bornaviruses. How long did it take them to think of that? they made abornaviruses, is what they really mean. See, it's Italian. Which typically infect animals such as horses, sheep, and birds, and we got a lot of sheep in the United States. Researchers have debated whether this group of viruses can cause disease in people, but guess what? New findings suggest that such viruses do cause disease in humans. So be careful now, because now you got to watch out for the squirrel virus. Earth's groundwater, they say, the basins, they're running out of water. 1/3 of Earth's largest groundwater basins are under threat because humans are draining so much water from them, according to 2 new studies. What's more, and again, I hope these aren't the same people who told us that global warming was going to kill us all. What's more, they say researchers say they lack accurate data about how much water remains in these dwelling reservoirs. So, in one breath, they're telling us that it's running out. In the next breath, they're telling us that they don't have accurate data to how much water is in there. I got an idea. Stop fracking. Stop poking holes in the earth and filling it up with different things and taking out other things, and we might not have these problems. I think it's rather simple. I really do. Hey, George Bush, he's back in the news too now. Who did George Bush charge $100,000 to hear him speak? How about wounded veterans? Wounded veterans of his immoral wars. That's what the title says. Former President George W. Bush attracted a lot of criticism, and deservedly so, because he charged $100,000 in speaking fees to speak in front of a group of severely wounded veterans of the so-called War on Terror. So the same people George Bush sent to go get blown apart in these senseless wars, the same people that, same person who did that, then charges them $100,000 to come and speak to him. Can you believe that? You probably could, right? I believe it. I mean, that's what these people are. They're just evil, rotten, unbelievable. It really is, though. It's unbelievable. But that's linked up, too, if you want to read more on that. And Pope Francis calls for a new world order. What else is new, right? And he calls for it before the dollar collapse. And there's this guy, I know I kind of criticize YouTube a lot, but I like this guy. Red Silver J is his YouTube channel, and he does some pretty interesting commentary. So you get a chance, you might want to go check that out. But the Pope is running around the planet making an impassioned call for a new economic and ecological world order, which means he'd like a new world order, you see. So it's in play. It's coming. You got Puerto Rico in trouble, Greece, China. It looks like things are starting to finally come to a head here. And I tell you, people, get ready. That's all I can say. And I had a guy challenged me, sent me an email last night. He's probably listening now. Sent me an email last night challenging me about the Sandy Hook stuff, about the houses. He says that it, makes him cringe every time I talk about it. So I want to make you cringe again, and I'll talk about it again. He says that he's the second one who's tried to give me an excuse as to why all the homes in that neck of the woods were all paid for at the same time, and which it doesn't stand a ground. But there's a lot more than just that anyways. That's just one of the things I bring up. There's several more. I'm actually trying to get the expert on here very soon. Maybe I can get this Wolfgang guy to come on, because he's really done the research. And my point is that the entire town was paid off in some way, shape, or form, because the police, I talked to the police myself, and I talked to the FBI. So I know there's something being hid. So Stop hiding behind your emails and just forget it, all right? Because I'm not going to argue with you. You're wrong, I'm right. I'm Michael Vera. This is Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network, and we'll be right back.
Hello, this is Dick Farrell, here to tell you about OxySilver. Legally available only through CureShop.com and HealthyWorldStore.com. Don't be fooled buying silver products from copycats and criminals. You've heard Dr. Leonard Horowitz and experts urge you to avoid deadly vaccinations and illegal operators selling stolen OxySilver and OxySilver copycats. You've heard experts tell you about suppression in alternative medicine and confusing propaganda in healthcare and the truth movement. Read Dr. Horowitz's book, Healing Celebrations, to learn how miracle healings can be made to happen through faith, prayer, and a pure diet. Get great immunity using vitamin C, D, and OxySilver, Liquid Dentist, GI Flora Pro, a top-shelf probiotic. Use Green Harvest as a great-tasting meal substitute for energizing organic nutrients and losing weight. And Zeolove, and natural clays for detoxifying your body. More advice, all these products and more are available from theCureShop.com. Including OxySilver, the world's most powerful silver hydrosol. Electro-energized to put risky injections, toxic antibiotics, and deadly drug pushers out of business. OxySilver is covalently bonded to water. Unlike any other silver product using the frequency of chlorophyll 528, what Dr. Horowitz explains is pure tone love, the universal healer. NASA originally developed covalently body silver hydrosols to keep astronauts healthy in space. Dr. Horowitz added the 528 frequency to NASA's formula and more. OxySilver works three ways to electrocute dangerous germs better than anything, far better than all leading silver products, and without any risk. OxySilver oxygenates and resonates with 528 for faster healing. So help save lives, putting drug lords and criminals out of business, and keep the LNM network broadcasting. Register for our free cooperative at healthworldaffiliates.com/4948. That's healthworldaffiliates.com/4948. And buy OxySilver and other great products in package specials at great discounts from theCureShop.com. Buy OxySilver, GI Flora Pro, Green Harvest, Zeolove, and Love Minerals at great discounts at CureShop.com. That's CureShop.com with two P's. CureShoppe.com. Or call toll free at 1-888-621-7611. That's 1-888-621-7611. Do it now.
The LNM Radio Network and Late Night in the Midlands depends on you, the listener. Without you, there would be no us. So help us continue to bring you the best guests with the best information, and subscribe today. Information on becoming an LNM subscriber can be found at the top of LateNightInTheMidlands.com. Just click the About Subscriptions tab and become part of the family while helping the truth stay alive. And while you're at it, maybe subscriptions aren't for you. A one-time donation helps as well. Click that donate button on the right side of LateNightInTheMidlands.com and help us help you. The LNM Radio Network offers a moderated chat room at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com. Just click the chat and listen page from the drop-down menu at the top of any page on the website, or click the Listen Live button at the top of the homepage at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com.
If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would lie that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
You want the truth? Late Night in the Midlands knows you deserve it. That's why we make it easy for you to listen at www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Go on over, become a member, be informed, and by all means inform others. Folks, we're not your average radio show. We cover everything. Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network.
It's the middle of the night and there's nothing much to do. Bring your insomniac self over to Late Night in the Midlands and learn something. We've got every topic you can think of with very little being off limits. Alien abductions, government corruptions, the stuff that's got your sleep disrupted. Come join the conversation bells and tune in to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera.
Need your L&M fix? You can find us on social medias everywhere, like our Facebook fan page, Late Night in the Midlands, or our Facebook group, the L&M Radio Network. Our other Facebook groups, The Last Frequency. You can also find L&M on Twitter at L&M Radio, and all of this and more can be found on our website at www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Again, that's www.latenightinthemidlands.com, bringing the truth back to talk radio. We are back. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, and you may ask yourself, how did you get here? Well, I guess the point is that you're here now, and the best thing we can do is learn as much as we can and turn that knowledge into power and use that power to take it back. But my guest tonight, I want to tell you a little bit about Dr. Richard Ruhling. He is a retired physician who was assistant professor of health science in Loma Linda University, 1974 through 78. He was board certified in internal medicine and authored Why You Shouldn't Ask Your Doctor, Wake Up America, and Apocalypse 2013. He predicted war with Iraq 6 years before 9/11, and he's predicting civil war in America. DHS, he says, is preparing for it. Dr. Ruhling is president of Total Health and Company, nonprofit organization that promotes a positive lifestyle as true health care, in contrast to prescription drugs that have become the number one cause of illness, disability, and death. And so, folks, let's bring him on. He's actually been trying to dial me up here. So let's bring him on now, Dr. Richard Ruhling. Doctor, welcome to Late Night in the Midlands. Okay, well, Doctor, it's whatever you're doing there, it's not working. You might want to go back to your other microphone, and then we'll try this again. All right, so Dr. Richard Ruhling, he had called me before the show, and I heard a sound, constant motor-like running in the background, so he was going to try another microphone. Apparently he has done that, and it's probably switched the settings on his sound card or what have you, and as a result, we're not hearing him. So nothing I could do on my end about that, except for to say, here we go, folks. So all I could do is wait for Richard to get his other mic plugged in, hopefully, and we could get this thing rolling. We're going to talk about quite a bit. I have Dr. Ruhling's CD sitting here. I have watched it. I need to watch it again. Okay, so here he comes again. Doctor.
Can you hear me?
I do hear you now. Welcome to Late Night in the Midlands.
Thank you. Good to be with you. I downloaded Skype on a different computer, and I could hear the audio when I called you, but somehow it didn't pick up my microphone. Sorry about the little extra noise here.
Oh, well, that's okay. We'll get through it tonight. And if you want, sometime this week, if you want to test it out, you can call me back, and we'll get you going on that other computer.
Sorry for the trouble, but
no.
Good to be with you. Thank you, Michael.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. It's good to have you. And it's not bad. It's just, it sounds like a fan. I mean, we could deal with that. But, you know, the scientists are telling us that the heat is engulfing us anyways. So you're entitled to a fan. Doctor, I thought maybe we'd start with a little bit of background for those who might not have heard you on the show before.
Okay, I took a Bible college degree in chemistry, but took a lot of Bible courses, so I'm interested in current events as applied to Bible, but I took medicine. After medical school, I was encouraged to take public health before going to Africa, and the opportunity to Africa never worked out. But the dean took a special interest in me, encouraged me to take internal medicine and cardiology and come back and teach, which I did. I was in charge of the executive health program, community services. We had a doctoral program that was really unique and progressive in that we were training doctors of health, not medical doctors to write prescriptions, but focus on lifestyle, diet, exercise, quit smoking, stress, weight control, things like that. And it was really a very interesting experience for 4 years that I was there. And during that time, I had executives tell me that when I examined them, that sugar bothered their joints, or that cheese bothered their joints, or that meat bothered their joints. And these were smart men who'd figured it out better than me. When I got headaches, I couldn't figure it out. I went to the fellow at the medical school who taught medical students, and I asked him if anything I ate or drank could be the cause of my headaches. And he said that would be very rare for my type of headache. And I didn't know what to do, but when I left the university, I went into practice with 5 other doctors. This was after 4 years of teaching. And the allergist there had people driving hundreds of miles to see him. He was very successful. People loved him. I thought, how many people with headaches do you help? He said about 9 out of 10. And I said, test me. And so I would not have believed that I was allergic to wheat, peanut butter, and etc. But when I left those things out, I had no more headaches. And the way it works, and I'll explain this for your audience, is that chronic illness, doctors generally do not know what causes a wide range of things. They say this is a factor in it. Lack of exercise is a factor. Diet may be a factor, but they never really identify specific causes. And in my case, this doctor had identified a cause with a specific food. But if you become allergic to that food, your body regards it as a poison. Kind of like, and the best example I have is nicotine. When people smoke, they don't get sick. But if they try to quit smoking, they get symptoms. They don't feel good. They have a withdrawal. And that's the way my headaches were. It was like I was addicted to wheat, even though I didn't know it. And Monday through Friday, I would take 2 sandwiches to work. My wife knew if I didn't have 2 sandwiches, I didn't feel filled up. But on the weekend, she'd say, oh, you get bread every day. We're having fresh fruits, vegetables, other things. Sunday morning was oat waffles. It was sort of a tradition. But it wasn't toast. And on Monday, I'd work outside, fresh air, sunshine, exercise. But the better I felt on Sunday, the worse I'd feel Monday morning with a headache. And I just couldn't figure it out because I didn't hate my job. I hadn't been partying. And, but that's, as you understand it now, your audience, if they got a chronic disease that the doctor doesn't know the cause for, if they start keeping a diary of what they eat, when they eat, and try to avoid things that might be linked to it, they may get worse for a few days, but then when they put their food back into their diet, they get their symptoms back, and they can figure it out.
I see. That's interesting. Now, what about people who are just in generally eating all kinds of different stuff that they just know is not good for them? They're going to have to, at some point, narrow it down to just a few foods and go from there, right?
Well, if they're just the average American without any chronic illness per se, just overweight and a little bit worried, maybe their blood pressure's a little high, that's a different matter, and they can do better with a low-fat, cut down on the fats in their food and in their diet. A low-fat diet is very protective in the long run. It's the high-fat makes the blood sticky, so that you need more blood pressure, to push it around if your blood is sticky. And also it favors diabetes. The Pima Indians that eat a high-fat diet, or even trained athletes on a high-fat diet in 3 days tested diabetic. So, and this is not just saturated fat. This can be polyunsaturated oils, margarines. We tend to like those things, salad dressings. But you can throw a few beans or peas in the salad, sprinkle something else on, do a low-fat dressing, and it can do good too. And if you're prone to blood pressure or diabetes with a high blood sugar level, low fat would be a way to go.
I was going to ask you about the difference in fats, because you have some will tell you, well, this fat's okay, it's this fat you don't want. So you say get away from all the fats. Well,
I think there's a verse in the Bible that says, "What God has joined together, no man put asunder." Well, we can refine the olives and get the oil out. We can do that with the peanuts and the corn. It takes 12 to 14 ears of corn to make 1 tablespoonful of corn oil, and so it's a form of concentrated nutrition. And that oil, eat as much corn as you like. Eat some peanuts. Have some almonds. Whatever. Those are high-fat foods. Eat an avocado. It's high in fat. But it's when you get the visible fat, the oil from it, that use that in teaspoons, not in tablespoons or cupfuls. Like your wife, when she makes a cake, puts a cup of shortening in or something. That's high fat, But if you put a little bit on the salad or something like that, it's not the end of the world, unless you have already a serious condition.
I see. So, and it's tough, everywhere you go, somebody's got these little treats out, and these, and I'm a sucker for that stuff. And so I fight myself a lot to stay away from it, but it's not easy.
I understand. We all feel the same way. It's good to get out of the habit, but when you have special occasions, it's nice to enjoy yourself too.
That's true. That's true. Now you say, and I've got your CD here, and I thank you so much for sending it to me the last time you were on. But I thought maybe we'd touch on this again because it's important to me anyhow.
Okay.
Heart disease is reversible. Talk about that for a little bit.
Okay. Starting in the 60s with the Framingham, Massachusetts study, they found that men with an average, at that time, their cholesterol, the average American male was about 240, and they had 4 times the risk of a heart attack compared to men with 200. And over the years, they've dropped that down so that men with an average of 220 have 4 times the risk of a Japanese man who ate fish with 180. And below 200 is considered normal, but still can have heart attacks. Under 150, it would be considered fairly rare. And so ideal is to get the cholesterol down. Now, cholesterol can be divided into the bad kind and the good kind. The low density is the bad kind that plugs up your arteries, and the good kind is the high density, HDL. It's helped by exercise, by the way, jogging and that sort of thing. But on the blood test, your doctor can tell you how good, whether your HDL is good or not. But ultimately, try to get the total cholesterol as low as possible, and below 200 is really definitely warranted. Below 180 is feeling better, and 150 is out of any kind of danger problem.
Oh, okay, I see. So now I had another doctor who has done incredible work in curing cancer with natural remedies. Now, he always says that the brain is pretty much made of cholesterol, and by taking these drugs that are supposed to take down your cholesterol, it wind up, affecting your brain. And I'll say this, the doctor had put me on some when I had my heart attack, and I took them for a little while, and I started forgetting things. I was losing my memory from them. I was getting, aches and pains and just not good, dizzy spells and from them, and then I stopped taking them, and I've been great.
I'm so glad to hear that, and I would confirm what you found. In general, we don't always know what a drug will do. Sometimes we're surprised by it, but if a person in your listening audience, if people are taking a prescription drug, they should ask their pharmacist for the package insert that goes along with that drug, and that lists all the different adverse effects that the drug can have. And if they don't understand what it is, they can go to Google or a dictionary in the library or something and find out what those things are that the drug can do to them. And it might even convince them to find some other way other than the drug, because diet can work well for cholesterol, as you have found, and you've done good. And I just say, as Hippocrates, the father of medicine, said, let your food be your medicine. And drugs are really not in that ballpark. They run a risk for most people, and sooner or later, if the diet is what's giving you the high cholesterol, which it usually is, although stress can do it too. People who are working day and night, their body makes stress hormones, and those hormones are the basic molecule in a stress hormone, or in the male, female hormones, whatever. And even in the bile salts and acids, the basic molecule is cholesterol. It is, and so when you need more stress hormone, your body makes more cholesterol to produce the end product, and in order to cope, and so if you are excited half the time, your cholesterol will probably be higher than if you run a calm life, etc. But diet is the main thing.
Oh, good, because I'm excited a lot, and not that I'm angry a lot. I'm just excited. I get excited about things that I'm doing and stuff, and it sucked to think that every time I cheered or got happy that I was putting myself in that kind of danger. But
no, I wouldn't say that. Let me give you an example. At the medical school that I attended, they did a study with to see the effect of exercise on cholesterol, and it seemed like the guys that played tennis, they were okay. But when they wanted to get it really measure it finer, they put them on treadmills, and then it messed everything up. And they were about to give up their experiment because it wasn't working when the guys said, "Oh, we're so glad we can get off these treadmills. We hate them." Well, the idea was hate was a stress to them. They didn't like, but if they played tennis, it was not stress. So, in other words, if you like it, going fast is fine for a racehorse, but it is stress for a turtle.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, bottom line, if you're enjoying life, hey, you do what you like, and that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me now, I take a 3-mile walk a day, and I know to some people that's not a lot. To others, it's too much. For me, it's just right. So,
good. Keep it up.
Yeah, so that's what I do, and then I come and I get ready for my show, and sometimes there's a little stress involved there, but for I enjoy doing it though. So if it's gonna kill me, then so be it. Now, you say that the fastest growing cause of death is what?
Well, really, I believe I would say pharmacology, the prescription drugs, and it is the number one cause of death at this time. I'll tell you why. The books will list heart disease as number one, but let me give you the statistics, and you can judge for yourself. In 1989, the Journal of the AMA, American Journal of Medical Association, published a report that in the hospitals, 106,000 people died. Wait a minute. I might be confused. It's 106 and 198. One of them is 106, and then 2 years later, the Western Journal of Medicine reported 198 from outpatients. I think and I can't remember which was which, but together they make 305,000 deaths from heart disease, and that doesn't sound much compared to, from 305,000 from adverse drug reactions. And let me explain that a adverse drug reaction is defined as not an overdose, not a wrong prescription by the doctor, but from a drug that is properly prescribed and administered. It's like taking your statin when your doctor prescribed it to get your cholesterol down, but you just react badly to it, okay? And so that's the definition of an adverse drug reaction, and that made medical care the fourth to sixth leading cause of death back around the year 2000. But then 5 years later, it was reported in 2007, I believe it was, Archives of Internal Medicine said the death rates had increased 2.7-fold. So you multiply 300,000 by 2.7, and that's around 800,000, okay? And by now, we've come another 7 years. And those drug ads are still on TV. People are still buying prescriptions more than ever. And so I believe the statistics, if you just take them 2.7 and then 5.4 times 300,000, it's about 1.5 million deaths from adverse drug reactions. Now that rivals those from heart disease, and most of heart disease deaths are from little old ladies in nursing homes after the age of 75. When they die, their doctor just signs them out as died from heart disease. They don't do an autopsy on this little old lady or man in the nursing home. But the problem is that these patients in the nursing home take an average of 11 prescriptions. Some are for, not every day if they're in pain or if their bowels don't move, whatever, but they still take a lot of prescriptions. And so when these people die, all bets are off as to what they really died from, if you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. The doctor signs the death certificate as heart because the heart stopped. But, knowing what I know and how the prescriptions, it's anything can happen. And I just say, even without that, they're recognizing that they kill 1.5 million, and most of those are premature before age 75. So if you have the after 75 in from those that are said to die from heart disease, I say prescription drugs are killing us.
Oh, and doctor, you mentioned the commercials, and I cannot believe people are dumb enough to take this stuff. I mean, one is for migraines. One of the symptoms is headache and heart failure and stroke. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? Why would this stuff even be sold? The side effects are, the list is as long as I don't know what. I mean, it's just crazy.
It's like Russian roulette. That sooner or later something is going to get you. And in truth, you're talking to a doctor whose wife died. My previous wife died from a antibiotic. She took it for a urine infection. She didn't even really believe in drugs. She didn't want to take it, but she didn't know what else to do. And it wiped the prescription. It's in the fine print in the physician's desk reference, a big fat book 4 inches thick with 3,200 pages. It lists for her antibiotic the bone marrow platelet problem, which wiped out her platelets. So she had transfusions, a splenectomy, high steroids, gamma globulin, the works, in and out of hospitals, and died of a stroke.
Holy cow! I'm sorry to hear that. Now, what can somebody do for these infections, like an ear infection, without taking an antibiotic? Because I'm one of those people who I've tried to do it the natural way, but mine would get so bad that I couldn't take it no more.
I would say go online and try see what you can find for alternative or natural remedies, herbs, and so on. For urinary infection, uva ursi is something that's helpful, along with cranberry juice. Drinking lots of water to kind of flush the bacteria out. It is uncomfortable, but usually if you hang with it, as my father was, by the way, a physician in St. Louis, general practitioner. I grew up, and around age 10, this was probably more than about 60 years ago, he said most of his patients would get well no matter what he did. He figured about 85% would. 10% he figured he helped, and 5% he said will die no matter what I do. And I thought that's an interesting thing. And today it's, I think if people take prescriptions, 85% are going to get in trouble no matter what they do sooner or later, because the drug is a chemical, and it's not, the body recognizes it differently than a food. And sooner or later, you're going to be toxic to that chemical, and then you'll have 2 problems instead of 1, and you might not recognize where the second problem is coming from, and your doctor might give you a 3rd pill to deal with your new symptom.
That's exactly what they'll do. Or after my heart attack, and I read the symptoms or side effects rather. When I read those, I was in shock. I'm like, no way. And, you've got to take these, because if you don't take them, you'll be right back in here. So they give you the fear. And so for a little while, I did take them because, I just had a heart attack. Now's not the time to argue with the doctor, but now I do.
let me tell you, when you said they'll give you the fear, they do that, but I'd like to tell you about a guy that I tested on the treadmill who had heart disease. He was an executive in the New York City area. He lived in Yonkers, and that's where he attended a health seminar that I gave there. But he had 3 cardiologists, and when he attended my series, he wanted to do it, and I tested him, and I told him, if you'll eat right, you can taper down off your medicine. His doctor said, if you do, you will die. And but he had the guts to try it, and I think he outlived his cardiologist, because he died. He was 65-ish then. He lived another 30 years. I originally saw him in the early 80s. Okay, so 30 years later, he died about 95 on Long Island.
Oh, so that's very encouraging. See, I love stories like that, because I guess a lot of people, after they go through something traumatic like a heart attack or what have you, they get depressed and almost like they're ready to give up. That's what the nurses were telling me, and I'm like, well, I don't feel that way. I can't wait to get dressed and get the hell out of here.
That's right. Hey, let me tell you, on your listeners, if they want, I have a website with 5 minutes of a DVD. Like I do offer it. It's called Eating. It's excellent on how to eat better. But Dr. Esselstyn from the Cleveland Clinic is talking about how patients can be empowered to take responsibility for their own health. They don't have to feel like they're licked and just do what the prescription, etc. And so they get 5 minutes of that on my website, richardruhling.com. Ruhling spelled R-U-H-L-I-N-G. That's Richard, R-U-H-L-I-N-G.com. They can see 5 minutes of the DVD, and if they want to get it, to me it's the best DVD they'll probably ever buy. It's about $10. I originally paid $17 to a friend for a copy, but now I buy them by the quantity, and I can sell them for about 10 plus shipping. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell for the heart disease. But it also has ideas on cancer too, by the way, because diet is a factor in cancer, blood pressure, diabetes, and other things, and all of those topics are treated on that DVD.
Which all you pretty much usually stem from your diet, don't they?
Yes, they do. You're right. It's bottom line, you know, if we came into life normal, and 97% do, when they test the little baby and examine him after birth, and they don't find anything wrong, he's considered normal. But 40, 50, 60 years later, if you got a problem, it's something we put in our mouth, probably. You know, growing up, we do it year after year, and when problems show up, it's body chemistry somehow from what we've done to ourselves.
And before we get to our break, which will be coming up here soon, what would you say the problems with our medical system are right now? I mean, I could go on and on myself because I've actually finally had to deal with that system in a big way not too long ago. So I could tell you, you know, it's really not it's not the greatest.
Well, you're right, and I just yesterday watched if you go to YouTube and type in Dr. Ken Cooper exercise, I watched a video on him, and he's saying our huge costs in medical care, we're spending a huge amount of money very late in the game, you know, and we spend more than twice as much as any other country, and yet we don't live as long as many other countries do. You know, and we have more cancer, more this and more that, and it comes down to the fact that the drugs. If you see, I took internal medicine. I was board certified in internal medicine, and most of the conditions in the textbooks say unknown etiology, which means they don't know the cause of this condition. Well, if they don't know the cause of those conditions, and that's true of most of them, then how does the drug address it? It does not. It just modifies the body chemistry a little bit, but it doesn't treat it. If you're loading your body with cholesterol from Big Macs, that pill statin is not going to do you it doesn't address the cause. You need to address how the cholesterol is getting in, rather than just try to change the body chemistry some way with a drug.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, and I'll tell you, it's tough today too, because if you're doing your shopping at your Walmart and stuff, you're going to run into a lot of genetically modified foods, and there's no way of really knowing what you're getting unless you work directly with a farmer.
It's a damnable shame. I will have to say this for Monsanto to be able to get genetically modified stuff into and you do the research online, and it's not good what that can do to us. They think it's a great answer for the farmers, but really, bottom line, if we all had our own gardens, it would be better.
Yeah, I agree, and we actually have a deal where we get fruits and vegetables from a local farmer, and it's organic and great price and all that. You get baskets and things and different deals from them. So that's what we've been doing, staying away from Walmart products. I mean, it's all garbage. That's why there's fruit flies all over the stuff. If you walk in the store and you shake something around, you see all the fruit flies coming out of it, because that stuff's only good enough for bugs to reproduce in. It really is. And so now So, the end times, the Bible prophecies, that's somewhere else that I know we were going to get into tonight. And there's an interesting read that I had here. It said, it said that there in the Bible there was a section where it spoke about living in the cities, and that you should have a plan to get out of the cities, right? And so you think that they're trying to push people into the cities right now, and that it's not the best place to be. And I see here it says before the fall, you should think about leaving the cities before the fall. Is that where you stand on our current situation?
To be, if we're going to approach this, let me ask you, how soon are you going to take a break? How much time do I have before the break versus? I just want to get a feel for.
Well, we actually have 30 minutes before the break. I was looking at the wrong clock, so go right ahead. All right. I apologize.
I want to give you the scriptural basis for what I believe, and in Matthew 24 are this. When Christ came out of the temple the last time, his disciples were calling his attention to the great pillars, and he shook his head and he said, "There's not going to be one pillar on the other." And his disciples were shocked, and he said, "What is the sign of that and of the end of the world?" Because they thought surely it must be the end of the world when those pillars were no longer on top of each other, or stones. And so Christ really, in Matthew 24, mingles the signs of Jerusalem's destruction, which happened in 70 A.D., with those for the end of the world, and many of them are similar. Wars, famines, pestilences, earthquakes, and so on. But in verse 15, he says, when you see the abomination, and in the NIV, it says, a parallel passage in Mark 13, verse 14, says, standing where it ought not to stand, or where it doesn't belong. That's the wording of the NIV. When you see an abomination standing where it does not belong, to flee. Well, the early disciples understood that was military. And so when the military came under Rome in 66 AD, the Christians got out of the city, they fled, and they were spared a siege that came a couple, 3 layers later by under Titus, which was horrible, and millions lost their lives at that time in the city of Jerusalem. So my point is that military standing where it ought not. We have, starting next week, Jade Helm, if you've heard of that. It happens to be a military operation in this country. Why? They're not supposed to use, the Posse Comitatus Act says do not use military equipment and arms against civilians. Use the police, the civilian police for that. And yet we are doing what does not belong, and that is the sign that was given to the early Christians to get out of the city of Jerusalem, etc. So that's that is not a 1 or 2 minute answer, but I'm looking at the fact that in the Bible, the first city was made by Cain, who was the first murderer. And cities are a focus of violence, crime, poverty, perversion, lots of stuff that's not right in the cities. And so I would just say, there's another best-selling book out, The Harbinger, by Jonathan Cahn, which is about the signs of end times as well, based on Scripture. And a lot of people, if you were to Google the word economic collapse September, there's, I forget how many million responses on Google you get, but lots of people can see that coming. And so I would just say, I would hate to be in a city if there's economic collapse, because martial law will be set up, and that's the sign that Christ implied. When martial law, you lose your freedoms. You can't do what you want anymore. They're going to tell you what to do, when and where, and you might end up, if your name is not on the right list or on the wrong list, you could end up in a FEMA camp, and that could be trouble too. So
yeah, and so with Jade Helm, I want to go back to Jade Helm for a moment. They're, according to them, they being those in power, they say that it is just an exercise. But
you know what Helm stands for? HELM.
Do tell.
Homeland Eradication of Local Militants.
I'll be damned. Yeah. Yeah, I've read that before a few times, and so it's not just an exercise. This is going to be military mingling in with the population, and what? You think they're going to start making arrests and doing that kind of thing?
I think they will get people who have known to be militant, and they may get their guns or what. I don't know. When it comes to guns, having a gun has kept this country safe for hundreds of years. That everybody has the right to bear arms. That during World War II, the Japanese did not land on our west coast because they were afraid of the guns that Americans would have, and that they might not be easy to wipe out. The idea that if a thief thinks that nobody has guns, they have open sesame. They can go anywhere. But occasionally they get shot by somebody that has a gun, and it's a deterrent not to know who has guns and who has guns and who doesn't. I think Christ I think his last night on earth, before he died and went to the cross, was a microcosm of end times.
Yeah.
Is that?
Oh, you there? Okay.
I'm here, but I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing noise on my phones. I don't know what I'm.
Oh. Well,
it's gone now.
Oh, okay. Go ahead then.
Christ on his last night on earth told his disciples, get a sword, and if you don't have a sword, sell your coat and get one. And today I think it would say gun, but and I bought a gun because I don't plan to the sixth commandment says you shall not commit murder. That's the Jewish take. The Protestant Bible or Christians say do not kill. Well, if somebody's going to kill you, it's self-defense to kill them. In Israel, when a guy opens fires on a bus, he only shoots one person before he gets shot. That did happen that way. But in this country, lots of people get killed before finally somebody gets it stopped. And you can't call your police to, it's too late in the game. It's ridiculous. So in Switzerland, everybody has a gun and is trained how to use it. And I think that would be a serious deterrent to tyranny and to people that want to take advantage of you. And I just say we need a new definition, not thou shalt not murder, but self-defense is okay.
I agree, and believe me, I practice my freedoms. I'm armed, and I'm not a dangerous person. I love everybody, but if you're going to cause harm to me, I'm not going to hesitate.
Right. I understand. Yeah. Well, and I think it's biblical. Somehow Christians have it twisted, and there's poor people overseas somehow. I just think we need a different model because we're entering a different time, and the peaceful times are over, it seems like.
It does seem that way, and I think that the powers that be understand that as well, because they are, I have never seen them working as openly and as hard as they are right now. In my lifetime, I've not seen, we got military everywhere in this country. Just all the signs are there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know how anybody could be in denial that this thing's not coming to a head finally, because it is.
I agree. Yeah. And I think this Jade Helm thing is about getting the guns. It's a UN treaty to grab the guns, and once they got them, then we can be, subjugated.
Yeah, absolutely. When we talk about these things, there'll always be those people who want solutions. And I don't know if there's any real right solution to all of this, but if you had to, if you were in charge and you could come up with the ultimate solution, if there is one, what would it be? How do we change this? Can we change this?
Well, when you say if you were in charge, you mean like if I was in the White House?
I mean, yeah, I guess, or if you had 3 wishes and this was one of them. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if we really wanted America back, I think we lost. Someone went up to Benjamin Franklin soon after they signed the Declaration of Independence and said, "What did you give us?" And he said, "A republic if you can keep it." And a republic is really different than a democracy,
yes,
which is you go by the majority vote. The problem is that we have let so many people in our southern border now that they will vote their own benefits. And I think we're past the tipping point so that, all these illegal aliens, the Democrats as much as admitted that they favor that because they're Democrats and they will get the vote of those people, basically, favoring the democracy majority. But that leaves fewer and fewer at the top paying the bills, the medical, the Obamacare. The taxes have to pay for everybody, so it's going to be trouble. My feeling is that we can't. I see big trouble in trying to turn the clock back. But if I were in charge, I would take health care. Let everybody be responsible for their own. Why should I be taxed to pay for somebody else who wants to eat, smoke, drink, and carouse and do whatever they please? Blue Cross proved in the mid 1980s, that people who drank a lot and smoked a lot had a significantly higher health care costs than those who did not. In other words, even though they were a small minority, their costs equaled the greater majority's health care costs because they were, when you go into the hospital and you've been, it's just that cirrhosis of the liver, esophageal varices, GI bleeding, all the things that can happen to a heavy drinker or a heavy smoker with lung disease. And I spent 3 months in a pulmonary ward. They call it Marlboro country, where people sit around with a tube in their nose trying to breathe for the last few months of their life. Not a good thing, And I just say, let people pay. When they started smoking, they said, well, almost everybody, when they smoked the first cigarette, they said, well, if this bothers me, I can quit. Well, quit later because it is bothering, okay? And be honest and pay your own bills. It's not about let the government take care of me when I can no longer breathe. It's you did it to yourself. That's tough love, but I believe that people ought to come to grips with their own reality, and you've done some of that. You've done well. If everybody did that and they could be responsible for their own health. And not everybody can survive everything, but I believe that's a lot of truth in what we do for ourselves. And I think we're trusting the government for health care, which is not true health care. We're trusting it for education, which is not good education. We're trusting it for welfare, which is not good welfare. They used to have a department called HEW, Health, Education, Welfare, and now they're separate. But still not good, getting worse, my opinion.
Yeah, and for the healthcare, I agree with you on that. And I thought of an idea, if they really wanted to be helpful, what they can do is instead of funding all these wars, how about bringing the troops home? How about we use that money and we, give scholarships to those who want to go and become doctors. And guess what? Your schooling's paid for if you'll commit time to a clinic, for the next couple of years when you get out of school or whatever. And so then you got doctors who volunteer. You got people who could go be seen by those doctors if they don't have the money to be seen. And so I think that would help. And at the same token, you're right. When I started smoking, people would say, "You better quit. It's going to do this and that." We always thought, we're going to die of something. We all have those things we say, and then it happens. And
right.
And it feels sorry for me, right?
Well, you did well to quit, and I've there's a study that I have used to share with people because in one study, young guys, average age 26, that were killed in motorcycle accidents or other traumatic injuries, they looked at their lung under the microscope, and they could see already at that age changes with fibroblasts or fibrosis cells that will come later with emphysema. Now, usually you don't get emphysema till you're 40, but the changes are already developing in average age 26-year-olds, and this was a study from the 1980s. So my point is that, things are happening in the body, and even though you can't feel the pain, the damage is being done.
Is there a way to reverse damage done to the lungs? Is there a way to rejuvenate your lungs?
Partially, but not totally. In one sense, we're scarred, and the scar tissue doesn't go away. But at any point that one does kind of say to the body, I'm sorry, I repent, I'm going to do it differently, your body can forgive you and not progressively get worse, hopefully. In other words, heart disease is reversible. Lung disease, maybe not so much, but at least you can stabilize and not get progressively worse.
Yeah. Well, I wonder because I've seen people, like I know somebody who was diagnosed with emphysema quite some time ago, and she quit smoking immediately, and so she's still doing all right, but she can't do the things she used to do. She gets out of breath too easy. And I'm wondering if things like that, if there's a way to reverse that kind of damage. But
Dr. Ken Cooper, in a film that I used to use in my seminars to motivate lifestyle change, he showed a guy who had emphysema, and he stressed himself on the treadmill to the point where he would get just totally out of breath. But then he was able, he conditioned himself. Somehow the blood cells thicken, you get more red blood cells and so on, so that even though the lungs aren't different, you'll extract more oxygen from the blood cells that are there, and he could play touch football with the kids and that sort of thing. It showed him on the film. So the body can compensate, but most people, they just take it as a matter of fact that I can't do those things. But if this lady pushed herself, she could probably find that she could do more than she's doing right now.
I see. All right, and and what about more severe lung diseases? It seems to be that's the hardest, I think, is when it's the lung and the brain, and that's even with cancers and things like that. Those seem to be the hardest because here in the United States, they don't allow a holistic type doctor to work with, say, a surgeon to get the natural cure directly to the affected area. You can't do that here because if you talk about that, well, you're crazy, you're going to jail, you're losing your medical license. But, I know a doctor who, if people go to Europe, he's got a clinic there, and he does do this stuff. Like, they'll inject, like, a baking soda remedy directly into a tumor or what have you, whether it be in the lung or wherever. And
right. So
it's a shame that we can't get that kind of care here, and even stem cell research.
Let me suggest for your listeners, everybody could write this down. There's a website called cancertutor.com. Tutor spelled Tutor. In other words, it can teach you as a tutor what to do for your cancer. And they have different protocols, and it rates some of them as this is better than that and so on. But a lot of information. And if I had cancer, that would be my first choice of where. I would say this: if a person discovers a lump somewhere somehow, get a good diagnostic study and let them whack it out once. Get it all if they can, even if it meant. In other words, I would not want if I had a breast lump, for example, I would want them to do to get it all if possible. But and then after that, though, I would not have the chemotherapy or the radiation, which is, medicine has 3 different modalities, and it's cut, burn, or poison, basically, is what it boils up down to. And once you try, Christ said, if your hand offends you, cut it off, or if your eye offends you, pluck it out. Well, I would try to get rid of the cancer, but beyond that, I would let my own body defenses, I would not want to kill all my white cells or not make myself sick with a chemo. I would try. Now there are exceptions to everything that I'm telling you, and if there's a certain, Hodgkin's lymphoma, they do very well with MOP therapy, which includes MOP is prednisone and so on. The drugs work. The thing to do would be for the patient to ask their doctor, is this palliative? In other words, it's just going to make me feel a little better and help me maybe live a little longer, or is this curative care? There's only a few handful of tumors which medical care is curative for. Most of them is palliative, and I would not want to go that route of making myself sick and taking radiation for something that's just going to palliate me a little bit. If they said, your statistics are good that you can get cured from this, I would say, okay, maybe. But in most tumors, we have not made a lot of progress in the last 50 years with chemotherapy and radiation. And I think the alternatives, and like the website cancertutor.com, I would be inclined to try these if they could not promise or be very hopeful of a cure for their treatment.
Well, I know a woman who I actually spoke with today, and she had a cancerous tumor in her breast. She did natural remedies that included baking soda and molasses and such, and she's went and just got retested, and the doctor says doesn't know how to explain it, but the tumor seems to be dying from the inside out. And so I mean, there's always hope. And and not every bump in your body is cancerous either. So some people get paranoid now. I mean, I have and he'll know because he's listening tonight. We've got a friend who listens to the show who had a swollen gland in his neck. You know how when you get sick, your glands get swollen a little bit. Well, he was nervous. He thought he had a tumor. And so,
it can be, depending. If he has a flu-like illness, a fever, and so on, might be. But otherwise, if that doesn't go away in a while, lymphomas can manifest as a lymph node enlargement, and might have it looked at later. Diagnosis: medicine is good at diagnosis. They're just not good at the treatment end of it. And but lymphomas, some of them are treatable well with medicine. So that being what it is. On the lady with the cancer, recently in the news, just yesterday even, they're saying that mammograms are not that helpful. The sad fact is that it's a significant amount of radiation to have a mammogram. And radiation is a no-no for cancer. They're the best tool to see if it might be cancer or not, short of a biopsy. But bottom line, I think if every woman examined her own breasts while she's showering, soapy hands, rub them over her breasts to get used to the way they feel, you'd be in a better position and do it lying down also, different situation lying down. But get used to that, and they could detect a small lump getting bigger quicker than if they just find something the size of a walnut all of a sudden. And I would say self-exam is not a bad thing, and that's what people used to do before all this radiation. But they're saying that since the mammograms come along, we detect more cancers, but we're not doing any better on saving lives. We have as many deaths from breast cancer as before.
And I've had a couple doctors tell me that having a mammogram actually it increases your risk, and not only because of the radiation, but because of the pressure put on the breast. Yeah.
I can appreciate that too.
All right. Well, doctor, we are going to take this break now, and when we come back, we could talk a little more, going really any direction you like. I wouldn't mind getting into where you feel we are right now as a human species, and what time frame we're in. Where do you see things going? And I thought we'd go there when we return.
looking forward to it. That's good.
All right, Doctor. I'm going to put you on hold, so it's going to get quiet. So
all right.
I'll hang tight. All right, we'll bring you back in a few minutes. Folks, this is Late Night in the Midlands. Ooh, listen to that. I am Michael Vera, and my guest, Dr. Richard Ruhling. I'm sorry for the fan noise that he has on his end, folks, but he tried to, at the last minute, get this other computer going so that he wouldn't have it, and well, as you know, it didn't work out. So we're doing the best we can. And so we're going to take this break. We'll come back and talk. I'd love to have calls from all of you. What do you think? What are you watching? Anything you want to get out there, you're welcome to join us. This is Late Night in the Midlands. Again, I'm Michael Vera with Dr. Richard Ruhling, and we'll be right back. Imagine, if you will, a man, a media, speaking the truth. Imagine a show that covers UFOs, ET races, the paranormal, and the not-so-normal. A media that speaks the truth no matter who or what it leads to. Imagine, if you will, a media that covers everything. Folks, you just entered the LNM zone. LNM, keeping it real when others don't. The LNM Radio Network offers a moderated chat room at www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Just click the chat and listen page from the drop-down menu at the top of any page on the website, or click the Listen Live button at the top of the homepage at www.latenightinthemidlands.com. You want the truth? Late Night in the Midlands knows you deserve it. That's why we make it easy for you to listen at www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Go on over, become a member, be informed, and by all means, inform others. Folks, we're not your average radio show. We cover everything. Late Night in the Midlands on the LNM Radio Network. LNM is always looking for sponsors, so if you are interested in sponsorship or advertisement on air or on our website, contact us at mv@latenightinthemidlands.com. If you're interested in rebroadcasting or picking up the live feed for Late Night in the Midlands, then contact us at mv@latenightinthemidlands.com and help us help you.
Hi, I'm Joshua Vera, and I wanted to inform you that Late Night in the Midlands is offering limited on-air advertisement. With 30 and 60-second spots available, or inquire about placing your banner ad on the LNM website. Or go ahead and package a deal, but either way, get the attention you deserve and join the LNM family. Contact us at mv@latenightinthemidlands.com. Again, that email is mv@latenightinthemidlands.com.
This is some dangerous, dangerous stuff. And you don't need some politician in a black, blue suit to tell you that aliens are real, or to tell you that UFOs are real, or to tell you that there used to be an atmosphere on the moon or Mars, because we have evidence of it, and we don't need them to tell us. And besides that, why would you want them to tell you? Because they've been lying to you your entire life.
At Late Night in the Midlands, host Michael Vera takes a much different approach than most hosts do in an attempt to figure out what is really going on in the world we perceive to live. The show is not always about being correct, selling products, or putting his name in lights. Michael is concerned with the truth and connecting the dots no matter who and where they lead. I'm Ryan Gable, host of The Secret Teachings, and I approach my show in the very same way. Sometimes you think that in order to be the best, you must appear the best, but the truth has no need for appearance and masking. It just is. Information is not negative. It is how you view it that determines the dimensional characteristics of either dual aspect of negativity or positivity. In less words, it's intention. Even if you disagree with what Michael discusses, we should be able to have an open discussion without de facto fallacies of ad hominem name-calling and ridicule, not predicated on fact or reason, but on ignorance, pettiness, self-absorption, narcissism, ego, and fear. Try as you might, but no amount of disinformation, propaganda, ridicule, name-calling, or trolling on the internet will change the truth. The truth is the truth, regardless if the masses accept it as is, or if it is accepted by only one person out of billions. It is no measure of health to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. I'm Ryan Gable, host of The Secret Teachings, and you are listening to Late Night in the Midlands with host Michael Vera.
It's the middle of the night, and there's nothing much to do. Bring your insomniac self over to Late Night in the Midlands and learn something. We've got every topic you can think of, with very little being off limits. Alien abductions, government corruptions, the stuff that's got your sleep disrupted. Come join the conversation tales and tune in to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera.
But we definitely do our damnedest to get you through your night here on Late Night in the Midlands. My guest, Dr. Richard Ruhling. We are discussing alternative medicine. We are also discussing prophecy, which we're going to get back to. And folks, as I always say, give us a call, but always wait till after the break. I actually use my breaks. I am human, not a robot like George Norrie. I actually have to get up and do things for myself here. So I do take calls after the breaks. We take them live. We're not screening, but we'll get rid of you real quick if you don't keep it real. So with that, I want to get back to our guest. Oh, by the way, the website is www.latenightinthe.midlands.com. You can also get there by typing in www.lnmradionetwork.com is another way. And we thank everybody for all the support. All right, let's get back to it with my guest, Dr. Richard Ruhling. Doctor, and by the way, we will take calls 803-317-2264. Now's a good time if you're going to call in. Doctor, so yeah, like I had asked before the break, where do you see us right now as a humanity, as in this time, 2015, and nobody could put a date on it, but I mean, are we there? Have we reached the end of that trip?
I believe that we're at the tipping point for what I think will be the last 7 years. The book The Harbinger, and a book that I just Jonathan Kahn also wrote, the book The Mystery of the Shemitah, which is about the every 7-year cycle. It was 7 years ago that the U.S. Senate approved $760 billion in bailout, and the stock market crashed for 10 days. I believe we could see a replay of that. That was sort of, I think, an omen or warning. In one sense, coming events cast their shadow before, and that was a shadow application of what the real deal is, I think. And I believe that this fall could be very serious. But a lot of people, I already alluded to the fact that if you search Google for economic collapse September, that there are more than I forget how many million that I saw websites with reference to that. But I believe that that will be the first trumpet of. There are 7 trumpets. The Bible has a Feast of Trumpets, which is the Rosh Hashanah. It's really, in my opinion, September 15. The Jewish calendar shows the 13th, but they're going right now by a dark moon, which means when the moon is in conjunction with the sun, well, you can't see that moon. It's a dark moon. It's a day and a half later usually, and in this case, on the eve of the 15th, you can see the crescent of the moon, which in Bible times is when they saw that crescent, they blew the trumpet. It says in Psalm 81 verse 3, blow the trumpet in the new moon. Well, the Feast of Trumpets was done in the fall, and it was the most solemn month of the year. They had their Yom Kippur, or Day of Atonement, and then they had their Feast of Tabernacles. And the Pope is coming for those times. He's going to talk in Washington and then to the UN. I believe big things are in the offing, and historically, it's not a good sign for the economy when the Pope comes. In 1987, when Pope John Paul came to this country and he landed in Miami and went to Texas and California and flew to Detroit, the stock market crashed over 500 points in the following month. And then when Benedict came in 2008, he came in May, but the stock market crashed in the fall very seriously, as we know. And I just think another pope coming and another problem probably. It fits in with these 7-year cycles.
I see. And we have a call, Doctor. We've got 678 area code. Is that a real area code, 678? Welcome aboard.
Hey, Michael Vera, and hello, Dr. Ruhling. This is Carol Joyce.
Well, hello, Carol. Welcome aboard. I began to wonder. I said 678.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I said you liked frequent flyers, so here I am. I wanted to say, Dr. Ruhling, this is amazing. I'm really enjoying hearing your voice, and I hear so much truth in it. And I wanted to tell you this way that I have dealt with the medical community as a civilian, and ask you your opinion on it as far as assuming that we have the time left to deal with the niceties of establishing a relationship with one's physician in a legal sense, and going independent and off the medical grid, if that would be okay.
I don't know how you could do that very well. I don't, because most doctors they admit to a hospital and they're monitored by their colleagues, and what they do is considered within or without the usual things. And I would just say, if you can find a naturopath to treat you, that might be, and some. There are good chiropractors and bad. There are good naturopaths, and there are others that don't know what they're doing as well. And the same is true of medical care. But I would just say, go ahead.
The point that I'm trying to make is 13 years ago, I knew that I was going into a period in my life when I would not be able to pay for medical insurance. And at the same time, I'm 60 years old, and my doctor was putting all kinds of pressure on me to have all kinds of, all those tests that they run when you hit a certain age. And he wanted to do a colonoscopy. He was really pressuring me to do a bone scan. He was really pressuring me to do mammograms every year and pap smears when I had a complete hysterectomy at 30. And so I knew that, and I wanted the estrogen because I'm a vain female. Okay, I admit it. But so I had to maintain a relationship with my physician that I had been with since '98, and I was with him when he started his practice, so he knew me very well, and I wanted to maintain the relationship with him. But I wanted to take the legal pressure off of him so that he would quit pressuring me to have the test. So what I did was I wrote up a document, I printed up a document that said, my name, knowing full well that my doctor is advising me to have the following exams, release my physician from any legal responsibility for my not having these exams. And I signed it, and I handed it to him on a visit, and he goes, "Oh, okay," and he puts it in my file. And then I just go see him like twice a year to fulfill the requirements that he has for giving me the estrogen. And I have been treating myself with herbs ever since. And I'm 60. I do not have high blood pressure. I do not have high cholesterol. I do not have diabetes. And I am enjoying life. And I do have other techniques that I use, but what do you think about that strategy for people that trust themselves enough to be their own doctor?
I think that's good. I'm glad it's working for you. Not every doctor will do that, and some would not pressure you even as he did. In other words, a lot of it is recommended, but I didn't feel troubled when people didn't want to do what I prescribed. That's up to them. My real prescriptions are to eat better, get exercise, etc., and so they can take less medicine. That's my real prescription. But the medical system is not set up that way.
Well, he really seems to like it, and we get along real fine. We have an understanding, me and my doctor do. And I know I have a situation with hyperthyroid because I went to any lab test, which I don't know if people know about or not. But you can go to these places called any lab test, and you can get profiles run, and you can get tests run, and you can do the research and find out if you've got a symptom. You can go and you can get your blood tested, and you can see for yourself. You can do your own research, and you can flourish doing it. And I take a lot of supplements and herbs. It's very complex. I'm sorry, I doctor myself. So I have this hyperthyroid. I'm treating it with ashwagandha, which is an Ayurvedic medicine, and it's taking care of the problem. The medical world's answer, my understanding is to have surgery and cut my thyroid out, which I find repugnant.
Yeah, I'm glad for you. You've got a good orientation, and God bless you. Keep it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot. I hope this helps anybody else that wants to, be their own doctor. Okay.
All right. Thank you for the call, Carol.
Her phrase is excellent. Be your own doctor. We should all do that. We should take responsibility for ourselves. The average person trusts their soul to the minister and their pocketbook to their investment broker and their body to the doctor. When a little intelligence could go a long way in each of these areas. And bottom line, people who trust everything out are going to ultimately wish they hadn't, I think.
Well, I'll tell you this. One thing I do appreciate is emergency medical. I mean, that's true. That's awesome, and I thankfully for it because it saved my life. But it's after that you then have to take charge of your own health, and if you don't, somebody else will. And usually when they do it, it's because of profit. When there's profit involved, your well-being really doesn't come into play.
That's too often true.
Yeah, so getting back to where we are, so a lot of people feel that we are in the biblical end times, and I won't argue all that. I never argue it, and I say, it could be, that could be true, because there's no doubt looking around at everything that's going on, something's given. I mean, things can't just stay this way. I mean, could they, or are we just getting old?
Let me give you a word picture that to me is very comforting and helpful to understand. And I earlier mentioned Christ's signs of the end of the world in Matthew 24, but part of in the first half of Matthew 24, he gave signs that fit almost every generation. When you say wars, famines, pestilences, earthquakes, every generation has seen that kind of a problem around the world somewhere. But after his picture in the middle of Matthew 24, when he comes with power and glory, he seems to change the subject, and he then gives 7 little short parables, which I think fit the onset of the end times. With when we're going to really start the last 7 years, he says, learn a parable of a fig tree. Well, earlier that week, he had cursed a fig tree because it promised fruit with lots of leaves, but didn't have any fruit. And I think America is, and Christianity today in America, Western Christianity, is a lot of talk and a lot of leaves, but not much fruit. And we really, with what's happening in this country, I'm saying we're in for judgment. We don't have the fruit. We can turn brown very quickly, like that fig tree that he cursed, because the next day when he and the disciples walked past, he said, "Look at that tree that you cursed. It's already withered up." And sure enough, he did that as an acted parable of warning for, I think, our generation and what we're seeing happening around us. And then the next little parable was as it was in the days of Noah. They were eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage, but they didn't know until the flood came. And I believe we're on now. I'm not saying we're going to see a flood, but we're in for big events soon that are going to, bigger than 9/11 even, in my opinion. And it will catch people by surprise because they just think they follow the mainstream media and everything is okay and it's being monitored and blah blah blah. Nothing is in control right now. And if you think so, look at Greece, or China with the stock market down, etc.
And Puerto Rico too.
Yeah. So lots of trouble coming. It's just waiting for the opportunity. But the little parables that Christ gave are to ready us. And in my opinion, God is not taken by surprise in all this. He knows the end from the beginning, which is what he says in Isaiah 46:10. He declares the end from the beginning. And in the beginning, he gave a big picture for our time, I think. And now this will sound... I think the average American and Christian has misunderstood the wedding parables. The wedding parables, they think, is about a rapture, and they're going to just get snatched to heaven. Well, the 7 churches in the book of Revelation, we're the last one, the church of Laodicea. It's a lukewarm church, and he says you're rich, and you think you're rich and increase with goods, but really you're wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked. Well, why would he want to rapture a group like that to heaven? I think rather America is like Egypt, and he's going to take us to a covenant relationship as he did Israel and prove, and they were in the wilderness, it was to prove what was in their hearts. And it wasn't long till they were worshiping a golden calf and had broken the commandments, and he was saying, I'm married to you, don't do that. Well, if he was married to them by covenant, we can marry him by covenant. And so when you read in Matthew 25, verse 6, the bridegroom comes, if we're ready, we're going to be seeking a covenant relationship with him, and he will protect his bride through the trouble. It's not a snatch to heaven. That's my opinion. He'll be with us and spare us. Even the 3 Hebrews, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, said God can spare us if he wants, but if not, it doesn't matter. We're not going to worship the golden image, and we're coming to a time when this country is going to make a new world order, an image to the old world order. I'm speaking now as a Protestant. This country was founded by people that fled the old world order to establish a freedom here. And yet the Bible prophecy is that we are making an image or something that looks like the old world order, which is new UN. The UN is going to have a limitation of freedoms, and it will end up with some kind of false worship, which will be compelled according to Revelation 13. And if you'll have to be marked, you'll have a number to get along with the system. Right now it's hard to get along without plastic, but it's going to get worse than that before the end. And I just say I'm looking forward to a different venue and how to not be part of that system. And I believe that there are options that will be available to us. And but I believe that it's the Pope is coming here. He's going to talk to Congress, and I believe that he represents a system that's got lots of problems.
You're right.
For most people that if you're not Catholic, you can see that he can say it's okay to do this and it's okay to do that because they believe he's got the power with God. But I believe that we got to go by the Bible, and I just see a difference coming, and all I can say is everybody is going to need to look at what they believe from the Bible and decide for themselves.
Right. I was going to say, and I can tell you this, he has no partnership with God, that's for sure, because if he did, he wouldn't be sitting on gold, he'd be using it to feed people. But we've got another call. We've got 602 area code. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Michael, Richard. Great show. A couple of things here I just wanted to throw out to you, Richard. What do you think about the idea that maybe these New World Order, shadow government people are using the Bible as a playbook in it of itself to basically maybe make people believe, because they have the power to do so with with the incredible amount of money that they spent to do all the things that they have worldwide, including geoengineering, so on and so forth, that they're using the Bible as a playbook to make people think that the rapture is coming about. And secondly, well, go ahead and answer that one first, and then I'll get to my second one.
Okay, good. It's just within the past week that I saw a graphic online of a hologram on the cloud that looked like a man riding a horse. And they have the technology now to with NASA Bluebeam to shoot something on the sky and simulate the second coming. And I believe that we will see the Pope move to Jerusalem. The last verse of Daniel 11, verse 45, says he will plant the tabernacle of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. That's about the king of the north, but which is in the Bible times it was Babylon, but in Revelation 17:5, Babylon is defined as, if you read that chapter, it's about a woman riding a beast, the New World Order beast, and she's sitting on 7 hills, which is Rome, and she's dressed in the color of scarlet, which is the color of cardinals, and she's decked in gold, and Michael mentioned all the gold they have. Yeah, a wealthy church, and it's a mother of harlots, in other words, a mother church, etc. So I believe we will see the Pope moving to Jerusalem, and with this ability of technology, they can simulate the second coming with shooting this thing on the sky and make it look like Christ has come, and the Pope is going to introduce Jesus to the world, which I believe it will be 2 Thessalonians 2, sitting in the temple, showing himself like God, and working miracles. And Satan will have the power to do the miracles as well. But the issue, in my opinion, and this may seem really wild, but the biggest clue to identity is name, okay? And Christ said in John 5:43, John 5, verse 43, I am come in my Father's name, you receive me not. If another come in his own name, him you will receive. I think he was speaking prophetically of when Satan would personate Christ as Antichrist, and when he does, he cannot take Christ's real name. And if you were to go to Italy, you would pronounce the Savior's name as Jesus. Jesus. And in South America, it is Jesus. Jesus. We say Jesus. But there was no J in Hebrew or in Greek. And Zeus is not the name of the Father. Zeus was the savior name of Greek mythology who saved everybody in their sins. They didn't even have to repent. But Yeshua is a Hebrew name. It's the name of the Savior. It is encoded. They've discovered it in equidistant letter sequencing. You've heard of the ELS Bible code, the guy that found that Rabin was going to be killed before he was killed.
Yeah,
well,
I'm familiar. Yes.
That same Bible code has found Yeshua linked to every messianic prophecy in the Bible, even from the very first verse where it says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth. If you start with the first yod and you jump every 500 and some letters, it spells Yeshua Yakol, which means he has the power to create. And so I believe that when Satan comes to personate him, he cannot take the real name. He will take the Zeus name or Zeus derivatives. And he will be introduced by the Pope from Jerusalem. But I don't plan to be deceived by that, even though it says all the world will probably be deceived, by the miracles that he can do, etc.
Well, very good. And I guess my second question would be: is the prophecies of Fatima? Can you speak on that? And do you have a little more insight? Because everybody has tried to guess what the third secret of Fatima has been, but there has been no real revelations on that. Do you have any insight to that at all, and what you may think that third secret may be?
I really do not, but I do see that it is interesting that both the Catholic religion and the Muslim religion, Fatima is important, and Mary is important in both religions. And actually, the Catholics, the Vatican strategized to get control of Jerusalem by using Muslims. Initially, they were to make war against the Jews and the Protestants and then turn Jerusalem over, but then they did not turn Jerusalem over to the Vatican, so then they had the Holy Wars to fight those infidel Muslims. And but the Muslim religion has Fatima as big, just like the Catholic. There's similarities because they mentored a Catholic woman, Khadijah, who turned out to be his, Muhammad's wife, mentored him, and the similarities in the religion are partial. I'm sorry I don't know your answer to your question, but I just wanted to bring that in as a background. I do believe that a converted Jesuit by the name of Alberto Rivera said the Pope wants Jerusalem, and he will probably move there.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'm just going to keep listening. Great show. Thanks for taking my call.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. And if anybody else wants to call in, you're more than welcome to do so. 803-317-2264. Unlike a lot of other shows, we don't just cut you off. We actually let you talk to the guests. So as long as you're respectful. If you get disrespectful, you're gone. But we don't get a lot of that, Doctor. We get a lot of great, intelligent people who usually call in and like to talk about these things. So I guess at this point, I've always said that if there is an Antichrist, then it would be many, and it would be the UN. I always thought that's where it would stem from. So you would agree then?
I do believe that the UN is the image beast to the old world order, but the Pope will be in charge somehow of religious practices, and that's why it will really look like the old world order, because with the same type of leadership behind it. And I believe that even before the Pope does that, we will have a more obvious Antichrist in Islam. And they are really against Christians and against Christianity. And if they get their Imam Mahdi to come, the 12th Imam, that will be a dead ringer. And it will look like when he is eliminated, then Christ can come. And it will be then the second deception with the Satan himself who's personating Christ.
Well, Islam is flourishing the way it is only because fashions in our government are assisting them, and not just the U.S. but others too, who are I've got a clip where Obama supposedly slips up, talks about training ISIS. Oh, that was a slip up. No, it wasn't. That was his real brain, his real thought coming out, and he's like, it slipped because But yeah, so they're behind this. I mean, if we wanted to really put a stop to this, I mean, one way to do it would be, well, how about closing our border? Because we're so worried that we have children and grandma getting felt up at the airport by perverts who become, I'm not saying everyone at TSA is a pervert. I don't know them all personally. But a lot of perverts go for them jobs because they love to pick who they want to feel up. They've been busted doing it, so I'm not making it up. Yet, this is for security, but yet, at the same time, our borders are wide open and anybody and their uncle could come through.
Yeah, it's a dreadful situation, and to me, Obama has done everything right to take this country down. If you are on YouTube and you type in Obama Muslim, he admits it on some of those YouTube things. I don't understand how he got exactly where he is without getting detected. But we're there for the duration right now, it seems.
Well, it seems we're everywhere, and we're spread thin, and that's what makes me believe there's a reason for that, because we often ask the question, would U.S. troops fire on their own people? And I think that they're not going to have to. I think that you're going to see blue helmets in here, and maybe even some red ones at that.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've got one more break coming up here, Doctor, and then you and I will come back and finish up. And we do have a question. We've got a few minutes if you want to answer it. One of the listeners asks about whether you've read Malachi Martin.
I had his book, The Keys of This Blood, in which he says that there's a three-way struggle for world supremacy between the U.S., the Soviet Union, and the Vatican. And of course, it was in that context that Reagan colluded with the Pope John Paul to take down the through Poland, etc. And so then it's just between us and the Vatican as far as what's going to be supreme. But it looks like they are winning currently. They have 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justices are Catholic. I think the majority of Congress is little c Catholic. In other words, not Roman Catholic, but universal, go along to get along, and favor the democracy vote, majority, and so on, and so that really America it's got its borders open to the south and those people. I have a friend who was in Montana and interviewed a couple who just moved there from Mexico, and he said, "Why did you move here?" He said, "They said, well, the priest told us to." Well, the priest can tell them who to vote for, and also, we what they say in their confessionals, we don't know what goes on or what's said, but Protestant churches, you can't say anything, or you're going to lose your 501c3 tax deductible status. But the Catholics, and they have the secret organizations, the Knights of Columbus, and all the different things that are pulled behind the scenes, so that we're it's over the hill for us, I think.
I couldn't argue with that, Doctor. Well, let's take this break, and then we'll come back, and you and I will finish up tonight. So I'm going to throw you back on hold here for about, good 4 or 5 minutes. So hang on with us. And, folks, that's Dr. Richard Ruhling. And, boy, what a difference when you pause that, huh? So we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little more, and we'll take calls. The doctor's going to be with us for probably another 15 minutes, and then it's going to be me and you. So if you want to call in then, we'll take your calls then as well. Maybe you've got something you want to share, and now would be your time. After the break, let us get moving here, finish up, and we'll take calls when we come back from the break. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, and we'll be right back. The L&M Radio Network offers a moderated chat room at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com. Just click the chat and listen page from the drop-down menu at the top of any page on the website, or click the Listen Live button at the top of the homepage at www.latenightinthe.midlands.com. We've been around a while now, and we have seen and heard many things. We have had thousands of great guests who have provided the best information, and I say that in confidence. A whole lot has changed in media and information since growing up and listening to the best.
Well, we're going to get in lots of trouble tonight, I suppose.
It has made me want to be the best. You see, in the last decade, we have seen our police become our military, and man-made deadly viruses unleashed on the public.
Coming up in the news, another case of Ebola at a Texas hospital.
And should Rochester police officers have body cameras?
Those stories and more on the way.
All this after we were told that Middle Eastern men hijacked planes and waged war on we the people.
Obviously a major fire there, and there has been some sort of explosion. We don't fully know the details. There is one report, as of yet unconfirmed, that a plane has hit of the World Trade Center, and you can see that there is smoke there coming out of at least two sides of the building.
And despite some calling me a conspiracy theorist, even mainstream media cannot hide what I have been saying for the last few years, and it is now coming to be.
We are seeing the setup of World War III, and a lot of it has to do with the oil prices.
Oil is just a small part, but more of an illusion for you and I to talk about than the truth, because free energy is real, and if I know it, so do they. So you see, everything we have been telling you is not only seen by others who have broke free from the Matrix, but is happening right this minute and will soon be in a city or town near you.
To start a third world war, either by stimulating the Muslim world into a holy war against the West, or by using China to cause global conflict, maybe both.
The years after the millennium will see gathering conflict all over the world, to the point where the United Nations will be overwhelmed.
So keep listening to media who wants to stall you, brainwash you, and load you up on half-truths while serving an agenda of their own or the cabal.
And I was finally lucky today. I got through. And so
Welcome to the Health Insurance Marketplace.
We're through. Okay. Hello?
Para continuar en español, marque el 2 ahora.
Yeah. Okay. Hello? Hello?
Let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. Okay. Hi. My name's Sean. What's yours? Hello? Hi.
What was that?
Start holding your media outlets accountable.
You know that I bashed Bush the entire time. I wasn't even allowed on Coast to Coast there for a while because I was told not to talk about Bush.
Start holding their feet to the fire. Do not allow them to lie to you for website hits or views to their videos.
Rupert Murdoch are the same person. They're not. Or that George Soros is secretly trying to take over the world. Hardly. He's spending every cent he has to stop it. George Soros may be the only billionaire that we know of that's making an effort to make this a better world. The man hasn't done anything wrong. About 30% of what's on veterans today is patently false. About 40% of what I write is at least purposely partially false, because if I didn't write false information, I wouldn't be alive.
Folks, L&M is setting the example by bringing you the truth, no matter who or what it leads to. We do not pretend to have all the answers, nor do we feed you wild stories to pick your pockets.
I love listening to John Muell.
I don't know where he is. He faded away. Yeah, he's gone. They took him. He jumped into a mothership, and he's gone. That's what he said. He used to say that. He used to say, I'm in the mothership. Well, I am a robot.
Because for Late Night in the Midlands, this is not entertainment. This is life or death. Late Night in the Midlands, we cover everything, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
For 15 years, I've been obsessed to find out what was going on inside of him. It's been my life work. And my ultimate failure. This force, this thing that lived inside of him, came from a source too violent, too deadly for you to imagine. It grew inside him, contaminating his soul. It was pure evil.
It's the middle of the night, and there's nothing much to do. Bring your insomniac self over to Late Night in the Midlands and learn something. We've got every topic you can think of, with very little being off limits. Alien abductions, government corruptions, the stuff that's got your sleep disrupted. Come join the conversation tales and tune in to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera.
doing now? One love light shining, hopeless in his dreams. How you do, how you do, how you do, how you do, how you doing now? How you do, how you do, how you do, how you do, fighting like a lion. This place, my place, your place has no barriers. How you do, how you do.
All right, we are back. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vera, and this place really doesn't have any barriers. We are not locked down. We are not censored. We do not do politically correct, and we're not afraid to hurt somebody's feelings here. And we don't believe that everybody's a winner so that there's no losers. It's just, we're not going to do that kind of radio because they've done that. They've been doing it on Fox and CNN, and of course they've been doing it with CBS Radio and Premiere and all these other ones. They've already done that experiment. What we're doing is something they haven't tried yet, at least not for a very long time. We're actually doing the truth here. And sometimes the truth hurts. Now, we do talk to guests who just give us basically their research, what they think about something, or maybe what their research has spelled out for them. Doesn't always mean it's 100% true, but it's how they see things. Now, that's called expanding the mind, looking at other theories, being open to all suggestion. That's what we're kind of doing tonight. So we're going to get back to doing that. You could go over to latenightinthemidlands.com. You could become a member, subscribe. You help keep us on the air. You keep the thieves out, and you get access to our archives, and so much more. And folks, I'll tell you, we've been working overtime, myself and a team of us. There's a lot of thieves out there, and I can't believe someone told me, so what if they're stealing your stuff and making money off it? What do you care? It's not about the money. Oh, I see. So then I could come into his house. It don't matter, right? I could just take your TV. Do you mind if I upgrade my television? I come to your house and go get your TV. What do you care, right? It's not about the money. Just go buy yourself another one. All right, so, all right, let's give, and that's just somebody who's angry because, well, now there's a subscription. What are you going to do? For 8 years, I've given it completely away free. I still, the live show is free. And it's replayed free. We also have a show that runs on the Dark Matter Radio Network, so it's run there. So there's plenty of opportunities to hear us if you don't have the money. And of course, if you've been a regular follower, I would have talked to you. You'd be in the chat, things like that. And I've given away quite a few subscriptions, folks. So it's not about the money. It never has been, and it never will be. But I deserve to make a dime off my material before anybody else does, don't I? Well, or am I just going to be one of those China slaves and you could just sell my show in Walmart like all the other China stuff? All right, we better get back to this or I'm going to keep going here. All right, Dr. Richard Ruhling, we are back. I want to take a moment here just to thank you so much for being a guest tonight, for sharing your ideas, for sharing your medical wisdom with us as well. And what I want to do is I want to give you the floor to get out anything that you'd like and, take as much time as you need. Wherever you want to go, anything you want to get out there, plug, what have you, go right ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate that. I earlier alluded to a website that has an excellent DVD that I think anybody struggling with diet and how to eat better would benefit. And when you talk about a $10 cost, that's not huge. People spend that on a pizza, and this would be something better than a pizza. My website is Richard Ruhling, spelled R-I-C-H-A-R-D, last name R-U-H, with an H in it, L-I-N-G, R-U-H-L-I-N-G.com. And take a look. You can play 5 minutes of it. So you can see Dr. Esselstyn who is Bill Clinton's cardiologist. Bill Clinton could no longer have stents put in, and he got serious about his diet then, and Esselstyn helped him significantly. You can see what that's about, and a lot of testimonials, too, about the diet there. And so that's an excellent approach from that standpoint on health. I also have another website called The Bridegroom Comes. It's really a biblical message. In Matthew 25, verse 6, at midnight there was a cry, "The bridegroom comes." And that's my website, thebridegroomcomes.com. And I have information that ranges from martial law and this and that. There's a link. If you believe in the rapture, take a click on that link, and you can see reasons why it might not be a rapture, etc. And if it might not be, and you're thinking rapture, there's some other information you might like to consider. So, and I do have an ebook on that. By the way, this new ebook. Let me, since you gave me open end on this,
sure.
There's I mentioned earlier a Bible code book based on equidistant letter sequences, and this could only be used with a computer. But they can count they discovered that Rabin was going to be assassinated and so on. But really, a lot of other interesting stuff based on the ability to use a computer and software. But I'm going to share with you, in fact, the title of my book is The Alpha and Omega Bible Code. It's based on Christ's own statement in Revelation, chapter 1, verse 11. It's 1:1:1, chapter 1, verse 11. Christ says, "I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last." But we also know that Christ in John 1:1 said he's the Word. So if the Word is the same first and last, in other words, he's constant, I was taught many years ago that the first place that a word or phrase is found in the Bible, it often has an end-time context or meaning because he is first and last. And I'll give you an example that I've already used. The bridegroom comes is a phrase that's at midnight. Well, if you were to ask yourself where in the Bible is a midnight cry, it comes out of Egypt. When they were ready to leave Egypt, there was a cry at midnight because death fell on those Egyptians, and there was a midnight cry. But God came as bridegroom and took Israel to a covenant, and later said, "I'm married to you." See, that's the meaning of the wedding parables that we are not getting. Is that really God wants a special relationship in which we are fully committed, life and death, and and if we do make that commitment, I believe He will protect us through the end time. But it's not just something we can do on our own. It's something that happens collectively at the time of a midnight cry, which is a time of a calamity, as fell on Egypt. America has a dozen parallels to Egypt. In other words, they killed their infants, we kill the unborn. Egypt was the greatest country then, we're the greatest country now. Egypt was a breadbasket. People came there for food, we're a breadbasket. We feed others, etc. But bottom line, we have a lot of idols like Egypt does, and God dealt with those idols by afflicting the Nile River, afflicting cattle with disease. Frogs were everywhere, those plagues. And for us, money is our God, and we're going to see the economy go, and our country is going to be like Egypt in a sense, in which God is going to seek a covenant relationship with us. And so my Bible code book, I think, would be of interest it's called Alpha and Omega, which is the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, because Christ said he was that. But by the way, it has had mostly 5-star reviews on Amazon.com. And you could go to Amazon.com, books, Alpha and Omega, Bible Code, Richard Ruhling, and you can read the reviews. But if you go to my website, you can save $1, and I also throw in an encyclopedia of natural remedies, a link to them from my website. So save $1, get a link to a natural remedies encyclopedia in case you want to look something up, etc. And my website is thebridegroomcomes.com. thebridegroomcomes.com. So that's my commercial telling about the book and the fact that a lot of interesting stuff. People have liked it, and I have about 7 reviews. 6 of them are 5-star reviews. That's not a lot, but I just finished the book about a week ago. So anyway, thank you.
All right, great. And just a couple more questions. I've got a question from one of our listeners who wants me to ask you what you might know about cannabis and the medical benefits there.
Well, I have to say I really don't know, have not looked into it a lot. I know that smoking it is not a very good thing. It does affect one's ability to form complex plans, and your get up and go, and your type A personality to accomplish things is affected adversely by smoking marijuana. I cannot speak for the benefits if a person needs pain relief or something, but ultimately, if you can live so that you know what's causing the pain and can get rid of that, it might be better than symptomatic. But I don't want to say it's all bad. I just say haven't looked into it greatly, but thank you for the question.
All right, and last but not least, what do you see the next, or do you have an idea of what you think the next event will be, and what should people be doing right now?
Okay, yeah. Good. I'm so glad you asked for that. I give a 5-star to that question. Specifically on June 26 or 7, when the Supreme Court announced same-sex marriage approval, it coincidentally happened to fall on the 9th day of the 4th Jewish month. Now, there's a best-selling book called The Harbinger, and it really is 9 different steps that all needed explanation. But I've got a 2-step Harbinger that only deals with the fact that when that happened in Jerusalem on the 9th day of the 4th month, they were out of bread. And I think the Supreme Court is out of bread, or the Word of God. And I think this country is in for judgment, and we will know it 1 month later. This is in Jeremiah 52, verse 12. The temple burned, and I'm not saying that the Supreme Court is the temple, but I believe that judgment may fall on July 27. An earthquake is what I think. An earthquake introduces the end times. Really, it's encoded in different ways, but in Joel 2, verse 10 and 11, there's an earthquake, and it says it's the day of the Lord. That's the end-time apocalyptic period. And so if you see an earthquake, I really believe that is the knock. When Christ says in Laodicea, to the Laodicean church in Revelation 3:20, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I'll come in. We like the idea that he's at the door of our hearts, and that's a genuine, legitimate meaning. But also that church where he knocked ended in an earthquake. They were lukewarm with materialism, as America is today, and I believe that the earthquake that comes will draw us to an end of the church. There are 7 churches, and they represent different groups around the world. Some under persecution, some that are have a first love, brand new Christians. Others that are lukewarm, so to speak. Western Christianity is largely that way. Well, I believe that what's coming, this earthquake, is going to draw this church period to a close, and we will go either towards the bride of Christ and make a covenant with him, or we'll end up in the harlots' camp with a great majority of people that are going to go along with the New World Order and go along to get along. And so I think this earthquake will be a watershed event. It was in Revelation 1 when John was startled and he heard the noise of a trumpet. He thought it was a great voice as of a trumpet. The Alpha and Omega code that I explain in my book, you go to where the trumpet is first found. It was Mount Sinai when the trumpet sounded and the mountain shook. So there was an earthquake. I believe John was startled, and I believe it may have been the same earthquake that ended the church of Laodicea. Laodicea was 70 miles away from John when he was on the island of Patmos. It was just across the waters. Well, 70 miles is not too far to feel an earthquake. And I believe he said, the angel said, write what you see, what you saw, rather, write what is, and write what is to come. And so it separates, the earthquake that's coming will separate the past from the present and the future. We will be opening the book of Revelation and into end times after that revelation, I think. So, great question. Let's wait and see. I've never had any dreams or visions, not sure that 100%, but I sort of expect it, because when the temple burned in Jeremiah 52 verse 12, it was the end of an era. And again, on the same date in 70 AD, when the temple burned, it was on that same date, the 10th day of the 5th Jewish month. So I think we're at the end of an era. I think we could see a big sign on July 27. If it's an earthquake, I believe we're into end times, and we will see economic collapse in the fall, almost 99% sure. But and martial law to follow.
I see. And how big will that earthquake actually be?
Well, if it's not an 8 on the Richter, I don't think it qualifies. I think it would have to be that big or bigger. But to be honest with you, let me just, I'll really spill the beans now.
Okay.
The medical school that I attended and where I ended up teaching, Ellen White was a prophetess who helped found that medical school, and she did not want pharmacology taught there. She helped to, she said, this is the property, and on one of the payments, they didn't have any money. They came down to the wire on the last day. The postman came up the steps and laid one letter on the table. It was from Ellen White with a check for the needed amount for the whole payment. And at that time, but when she was retiring, the AMA was just coming into power, and the leaders of the school wanted accreditation, and they sent a committee up on to her to St. Helena, which is northern California, north of San Francisco, and they said, we want to teach pharmacology and get accredited. She said no. And they went back down, and a few months later they came up again, and again she said no. Well, would you believe they went up a third time on the train, and she wouldn't even see them. And on the way back they said, well, she didn't say no. So basically they hijacked the medical school, and pharmacology was not intended to be taught at Loma Linda, in my opinion. It's a leading cause of death today. I believe that Adventists would have had naturopathic approaches, treatments, be far in advance than where we are today if we had followed her clues and had not taught pharmacology. But that's just, and so I think that the earthquake will hit Loma Linda. In my opinion, they're sitting on the end of the San Andreas. If it does, the bridegroom comes, and go to my website.
All right. Well, Doctor, I thank you so much for being with us. I always enjoy speaking with you, and I look forward to more shows with you in the future. Thank you so much.
Well, God bless you, Michael, and if the earthquake quakes, we'll talk again soon.
All right. I hope we will. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right. You too. All right, Dr. Richard Ruhling, and I hope we'll get to talk. If the earthquake comes, who knows? We may be, one of us or both of us may be affected by it. So I would imagine it would have to be a really big one. If you're God and you want to get a message across, and you've got a population who's aware that Earthlings, people here, have stepped on the ability to be able to cause earthquakes, and even if you're one who believes, that they can, but you're not sure, blah, 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 well, still, right, to separate God from those who are playing the part of God, I guess it would have to be a really big earthquake, and I think it would be felt probably across the globe, right? I would guess. Maybe not. I don't know. Here's something I want you to listen to quick. It's a few minutes. This is from a priest. The last time I pulled this clip out of the closet, it was, I think it was probably 2009. So, but here it is. We were talking about biblical this and that. I thought that I'd go with this. Now, it's been a while since I've played it, so hopefully it is a good sounding clip. Here you go. This is a priest who says hell is not real.
I don't think hell exists. I happen to believe in life after death, but I don't think it's got a thing to do with reward and punishment. Religion is always in the control business. And that's something people don't really understand. It's in the guilt-producing control business. And if you have heaven as a place where you're rewarded for your goodness and hell as a place where you're punished for your evil, then you sort of have control of the population. And so they create this fiery place, which has quite literally scared the hell out of a lot of people throughout Christian history. Mm-hmm. And it's part of a control tactic.
But wait a minute, you're saying that hell, the idea of a place under the earth or somewhere where you're tormented for an eternity, is actually an invention of the church?
I think the church fired its furnaces hotter than anybody else. But I think there's a sense in most religious life of reward and punishment in some form. The church doesn't like for people to grow up, because you can't control grown-ups. That's why we talk about being born again. When you're born again, you're still a child. The people don't need to be born again. They need to grow up. They need to accept their responsibility for themselves and the world.
What do you make of the theology, which is quite prominent these days in America, which is that there is one guaranteed way not to go to hell, and that is to accept Jesus as your personal Savior?
Yeah, I grew up in that tradition. Every church I know claims that we are the true church, and they have some ultimate authority. We have the infallible Pope, we have the inerrant Bible. The idea that the truth of God can be bound in any human system, by any human creed, by any human book, is almost beyond imagination for me. I mean, God is not a Christian. God is not a Jew or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Buddhist. All of those are human systems which human beings have created to try to help us walk into the mystery of God. I honor my tradition. I walk through my tradition. But I don't believe my tradition defines God. I think it only points me to God.
You and I are emerging people, not fallen people. Our problem is not that we are born in sin. Our problem is we do not yet know how to achieve being fully human. The function of the Christ is not to rescue the sinners, but to empower you and to call you to be more deeply and fully human than you've ever realized there was the potential within you to be. Maybe salvation needs to be conveyed in terms of enhancing your humanity rather than rescuing you from it.
Life is a startling and wondrous experience. And eventually I think we're going to discover that God is unfolding through the life of our consciousness and our self-consciousness, and is not a parent figure up in the sky. But I believe because I'm related to something that is not bound by time and space, that I will share in whatever God's eternity is.
All right, well, there it is, and that's a priest take. He was an active priest when he had that little interview, and so that's his take on it. And you know, I worked at a seminary. I didn't work for the seminary, but I used to work at a seminary. I was part of the maintenance and grounds crew there, and I had many discussions with many who were, you know, students at this facility and who were learning the religion, the you know, who were being told what everything meant in these books. And I had many discussions with those people, and some were impossible, while others, they were awake, they knew, but they were doing it because they wanted to get into it, because they wanted to, well, they wanted to throw their ideas in the pot. And now, were they able to do that once they got jobs and churches and things? Probably not. You know, could you imagine? I mean, put me in one of the big cathedrals and let everybody show up for what would be an average sermon at a Catholic church, but put me at the pew and let me talk to these people. And I bet a good deal of them would be angry. Probably within 10 to 15 minutes into it. They would be very angry. They would say that I was possessed by the devil, and I was, you know, I need to get Jesus in my heart. And I mean, they'd be really throwing out some accusations just because I think outside the box, and I look at things just a little differently. I certainly believe in a God. Of course I do. But I don't think that this energy bears the name God. I don't think this energy demands us to worship it. I don't think that this energy is going to reward the devil in hell by throwing me to the devil if I don't do what this God thinks I should do. I mean, so Satan's such a bad person, yet Satan gets rewarded by me being sent there because, I don't have faith. Look, God it's a power, it's an energy, it's a creator, it's a destroyer. It's not a man, it's not a woman, it's none of that. And I'm not saying that I'm right. You could be right. Maybe God is this old guy who sits in a cloud and has a pen and paper and he's taking names. I don't know. That could be possible, but I don't think so. And I wouldn't think God would be such. I mean, when you've got that kind of power, I mean, gee, it sounds like such a spoiled kid sometimes. Like, you better worship me, or hey, go rub this lamb's blood above your door, or I'm going to get your firstborn and kill him. I mean, that's. I don't know. That just don't sound like a God thing to me. It sounds like maybe a little God or a human thing to me. So anyhow, I'm not here to judge religions. I mean, whatever gets you to that place of peace and happiness, take it. Take it. But don't suppress others because of your beliefs. We've got to stick to what we can prove here. And, one thing's for sure, I think everybody has a right to whatever belief system they want, but it's the ones who push it on others that irritate me. And, we are in a time right now where like we spoke about Jade Helm, and some of these other things that are going on. Jade Helm being one of the biggest concerns. And it's not because, we're conspiracy theorists because, we're concerned. It's because we're aware. We understand what's at stake here. And unfortunately, there's not enough people who do. So I don't know how far we're going to get. And some say, well, if you know, the truth, and I think a lot of us think we know at least some of the truth. Nobody knows everything. I don't care who you are. Well, you could go by your experiences, but just because you've had a certain experience doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be for everybody else. But, there are things that we can compare, notes that we can compare that tell us that, we do have something in common. And that's many of us who have left our body, whether it be an out-of-body experience or a near-death experience, whatever got you out of it. There's many people who have had that same experience. So we know we're more than this body. Now, exactly what's going on when we get wherever it is we're going, when we do leave for good, I don't think anybody could say. What was God's real name? How does anybody know? You weren't there. I mean, unless you could... I mean, you can go by as old scriptures as you want, but do you really know? Do you know what they believed or how they seen the world or any of that? I mean, so there's a lot to take into account. And, and that's like, some people believe that, you should worship Jesus, others say not to. And, I don't get involved in all that. All I know is, I open myself to this God energy. And I'll let this God energy guide me as it has. And you could say, wow, you're a sinner. Well, God don't seem to think so because God didn't take me. I had a heart attack. I'm not dead. I'm still here. So if I was such a bad man, why not, right? Why let me continue? I'll tell you why I'm continuing. I'm continuing because this is my path. I'm on it. And when this path ends, it will end with Late Night in the Midlands. I know that. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm supposed to be doing this because, I got selfish reasons too. I have kids, such as Joshua, who's in the chat now. I've got kids, I've got younger kids too. I've got grandchildren. And I love them. And it's not about, I know that we'll be in a better place when it's all over with. I don't want them to go through pain. I want them to have an experience. I want that experience to, that human experience, that lesson to be learned. I want them to have that opportunity. And that's why I do this. So, okay. Let's say, we're all going to go to a better place. Everything's going to be fine. There's nothing to worry about. Who cares? Nothing means nothing. Well, here's the thing. You know, money, yeah, it is just a piece of paper, and it is used to control and such, but we need it. You know, right now, when your landlord comes and knocks at the door and wants to rent, you know, tell the landlord that. Say, hey, money don't mean nothing. To hell with it all. You know, I'm just going to live here you know, so you need it for some things. So I don't criticize people in the monetary system. It's just that everything has a good use and a bad use, and unfortunately, we're in a time on this planet where everything is being used against us. It's all being turned to be used for evil, and I don't mean that in a biblical sense. I mean that in just a reality type sense. We're in a lot of trouble here, folks, and you know, we've got too many sheep. Way too many. Yeah, we've got too many of those right now at the helm when we're in a lot of trouble. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit back. I'm going to keep doing what I do. I'm going to keep getting loud, keep shouting out, keep sounding the alarm. And things are going to play out. You know, either we'll all organize and come together and we'll change what's happening here, or, you know, I don't know, somebody will have a hell of a story to tell one of these days, maybe. But, you know, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm storing up. I'm looking out for my family. I hope you're looking out for yours. And, you know, I hope that we'll all look out for each other when that time does come, whether it be military, whether it be Planet X, whatever it might be. I hope that we're all here for each other. And it's not, you know, it's not about where you're going. It's about what you've done while you were here, I think, personally. So, everybody pay attention. You know, live your life, though. You know, don't let others tell you how to live. You know, some criticize about, oh, you watch football, but, you know, those same people couldn't do what I do here. 7 days a week I work. I don't get no time off. Very rarely do I get time off. So I deserve an hour or two of my leisure of doing whatever it is I please to do. And marijuana, folks, I have news for you. For those who are in their closet and think that marijuana is such a horrible thing, I have news for you. It does have a lot of medical benefits. It can cure cancers, many cancers it can cure. It can cure many diseases. I've had people who have proved to me they've cured their diabetes with it. I mean, AIDS, there's cures for AIDS. Cannabis, I think, helps with a lot of things. I've never heard of it helping with HIV. Somebody had asked. No, Dr. Colwell tells me there's a peroxide drip that you could do, a hydrogen peroxide drip that you could do that will cure AIDS. And I believe this guy because he's proven to me everything he says. I question him, and then he shows me the proof. He has cured people of cancer. Autumn and I have helped cure people of cancer. I've told you our own story here. Family member, close. We did it. So, I mean, it can be done. And do I need to prove it to you? Prove it to yourself. What do you got to lose? I mean, people will jump for chemo and radiation real quick. But you give them a natural remedy and, they want all kinds of proof. Prove it to me. Tell your doctor to prove to you that chemotherapy and radiation's curing cancer. Tell them to do that to you. Well, you won't, though, but you'll question everything else. And you know what? You should question everything. But I'm telling you, and not because I say it should you believe it. You should just go ahead and try it yourself. What do you got to lose? It works. Now, I've broken a lot of laws here tonight by saying that there's a cure for cancer because it is against the law to say that you can cure cancer. I can't cure it. You can cure your cancer. You can cure your cancer because Mother Earth provides us everything we need. That's why they're destroying it. They don't want us to have these things. They've got their own little seed banks. They've got their tunnels throughout the nation. In your country, too, not just mine. There's tunnels, there's underground bunkers, there's underground cities. They're growing food under the ground. They're growing food below the ocean now. They're doing all these things, and they're doing them for a reason. But they want you to feel real stupid when you ask the question of why they're doing this. When you say, well, why are they preparing and we know nothing about it? You know, we know very little about it. How come we haven't been directed where to go for for survival? They're not telling us to any of that. But, we're supposed to feel bad and feel like conspiracy theorists when we put these things together. And at one point, unfortunately, we're going to be right. And I'm not looking forward to that day, but it's going to come. I do want to say for our program director and station manager, Ira Robinson, thank you so much. Our webmaster, Jolene Robinson, for our chat moderators, thank you all. And as I say just about every night now, let our quest, folks, very important, let our quest to explore possibilities be a reminder to think outside the box and question everything we have been told about absolutely everything. And keep your eyes posted to the sky because you never know what you might see. Keep your ears posted to this broadcast because you never know what you might learn. And tomorrow night we've got Steve Bassett. And shout out quick to our radio affiliates. Sorry I waited to the very end. The Dark Matter Radio Network, K98 Talk, and High Point Radio, the LNM Radio Network. You rock, and good night, everybody.
The internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started again.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.